Finance has been much in the headlines these days, and especially some folks getting scammed, getting defrauded with their investments. And there's something called the Ponzi scheme. We've been throwing that term around a lot with the Madoff case, the Bernie Madoff case. Explain, if you will, what is a Ponzi scheme and how you can avoid getting involved.
Absolutely. A Ponzi scheme is something that we've been seeing a lot of recently, nationally and locally. And what it is it's a scheme that was named after Charles Ponzi, who ran a fraud in the 1920s. And what it does is this con artist takes new money and uses it to pay off old investors. So it's like a revolving door of money. The con artist says they're taking the money to invest in this or that, but they're not. What they're doing is they're using it to pay off old investors, make the old investors think that they're getting a return, thereby building legitimacy, and the scam goes on and on. What happens is that when there aren't new investors to find, like in an economic downturn, the scam dissolves. Basically, it bursts. And
the old investors would be happy to tell the new investors what a wonderful thing it is and how much money they make all along. Absolutely. And the new investors have confidence then and go ahead and put their money in. Okay, how do you know you're doing a legitimate investment and not getting involved in a Ponzi scheme?
Well, first of all, legitimate securities investments have to be registered with the Securities Commissioner's office at the state level, unless they're exempt at the federal level. But then we have a little acronym we use as AID. A stands for affinity fraud. So if you have friends or family or community members who are encouraging you to invest, be aware that you need to ask the questions. Con artists are just excellent at building networks of trust among religious groups, among other tight-knit groups. And so A is for affinity fraud. I is to investigate. If you don't understand and you investigate and you ask about the investments and they say it's proprietary strategy or it's a secret strategy like Bernie Madoff did, right? That's always a good reason to walk away. If sometimes they give you too complicated a response, and that's also a good reason. So investigate. D is to diversify. Diversify everything. Don't just diversify assets. You want to diversify financial managers, institutions. The people who walked away from Bernie Madoff scandal that weren't ruined were people who had not invested everything there, but only a percentage. And E is enforcement. We have attorneys and investigators that will go out and prosecute and look into the matter. So if it happens to you, call us, let us know, and we will do our best.
Okay, we're going to put a phone number on the screen for the fraud line. People can call and find out whether or not that's legitimate. We also have a website, www.investing.hawaii.gov. And they can find out a lot more about the things we're talking about, as well as other potential problems with investments.
That's right.
All right, the State Securities Commissioner with us this morning, Tung Chan. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.